Hey gang, welcome back. It is I, Dr. Bosky, and I thought I would share with you today a new feature that I just finished wiring up. It's called the No Miss bonus. In Shmups, other games do this as well, but there's this mechanic where when you defeat a boss, if you defeat the boss without dying, you usually get a bonus of some sorts. So why don't we hop over to this and I'll show you what we got going on. I pushed the wrong button there. There we go. Special shout outs to Square. I think I first saw this feature and concept from them in working in Shmup Creator. And so I had that in the back of my brain. And because we're working on the boss rush mode, I was like, oh, we should include that because there's a lot of cool things with competition for having like a no boss or no miss boss rush. So and you can do that on per boss basis, etc. So anyways, let me just show you the goodies first. All right, so over here, this guy is the boss. He's a very small boss, and he's just a test cube. You go into the zone, and then you kill the boss. Katoonch. Oh yeah, and there you go. I'll show you one more time because that went by quick. And then I'll show you what it looks like in Eder. All right. There we go. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then just to show it also working the other way. So if I go into, notice my debug message which says player enters the zone. So if I die, which I'll kill myself here. Bloop.
Weapons down.
And I then can kill the boss and nothing happens at that point. I want to test one thing real quick. I suppose I don't need to be on pause for testing this. Okay, cool. So let me take a look at the player enters zone. And I just want to also include, I'll try that. That's quite a bit. That's fine. Maybe something like 15. Nope. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, cool. Actually, it does matter because I want to make sure it's all. There we go. Okay, cool. So this time I should be fine, but I wanted to double check that. Okay, so when the game does start, if not that you have this particular issue, but I want to make sure that if you died,
weapons down,
and you stay in the zone. Yeah, okay, nothing happens. So cool. And then we'll take a quick look at this again. So we're in the zone. Actually, one more time. I don't have to actually move anymore. Okay, and then sweet, no miss bonus. Okay, cool. All right, so how did we do this? All right, good question. So here is the script logic. And so as we typically like to do, so just a little bit of a helper text. So when I need to find this again, one of the things I have in my little sandbox. So if I zoom out here, this is my sandbox of pretty much every enemy, all my game logic. And it's always a good idea to prototype your features inside of a non-level and then carry them over to your level just in case. You never know when you're working on something and then you break some things and now you have to fix bugs because you were essentially trying to develop in an active level. It's a little bit different when you're actively developing the level versus levels that you've already shipped that you want to make sure you don't introduce new bugs to. So basically, we got the no miss bonus and it starts over here, which is basically a trigger, which is set to switch mode. And this is player goes into the zone. So when your camera is cruising, you'll have this big box and this box will basically be over the entire screen for when you have your boss fight. And what you want to do is, so you got that. You're going to set your width and height accordingly for you. And then what's going to happen is I have a little bit of helper text here. This will go away, but this is just so I knew everything was triggering as expected. So I have a little text here that says player enters the zone. And then what we do is we have essentially what I call a bool type enemy. So we're going to check against the state of this enemy to determine whether to award the bonus based on whether or not this guy is alive or dead. So this guy wakes up because the player's entered the zone. And then we have a trigger that's attached to the bool enemy, which is called connected enemy state is all alive in this case. And if it is alive, we're going to trigger a couple things. So one is we're going to come over to a secondary trigger. We are going to, we'll ignore that for a second. So we're going to come down here and we have essentially a timer. And after 1 second in our particular case, we want it to be exactly immediate. And this is just so you can tweak it and tune it. I think I'll probably change it up to about 3 seconds because I want the boss to explode. And then I want after the explosion, the visuals to reinforce like that something cool happened. I don't want to have too many competing things at the same time. So that's why this is here in timer form. And so what happens is that timer then comes over here to an item spawner, and this item spawner, we're just spawning our star gems with these amounts. You can also add bonus score if you wanted here. This is just to give you that extra reinforcement. And then we have the no miss bonus text. We have the cartoon fight cloud, which I thought was kind of fun. And then we have a little sound effect of swing that happens here. And I believe that is all that. Oh, and then we also activate a stopwatch. We activate the timer. And this timer basically only allows something to be running while the timer is running. So we have a countdown of duration of 1.5 seconds. You'll tweak it accordingly for your own visuals. But I basically wanted the big effects. So that's a blue effect and lens flare to appear. And so I have that effects there. And then it's only running for 1.5 seconds. And then we turn it off afterwards. So that gives you kind of the overall aesthetics. And then the last thing that we do is we have over here, this particular trigger object is connected to the boss. And so this is when it's also set to switch mode. So connected to enemy state is all dead. So you kill the boss. And then what we do here is I could probably put this in a different place, but I kind of wanted it over here. Maybe something like this. Yeah, maybe it's something like that. Yeah, there you go. Like a little bit more. Choo-choo-choosh. How you align your own visual scripts is totally up to you. It's easier to sort of see the flow for me when I have some lines that crossover between each other. So yeah, so what happens here is that we do a check, which is the boss has died. Cool. And then we say, yeah, it's checked, and we check this trigger condition. That's why it has to be, both are set to switch mode. So this trigger condition then is this bool enemy, which basically represents whether or not you've died. Is it alive? So now let's take a look at this in editor. So here you can see that, also just for testing purposes, so you guys can see this, you may not know that you can do this, but it's super handy. So I have a button here, and the button is set to switch mode. I have it set to just 3X in this case, or the X button, or button number 3. And then I have a little bit of helper text here that says button press kill player. And then I have a kill trigger, and that kill trigger is connected to the player. So making Dr. Bosky's life much harder. And so if I kill him,
weapons down.
You'll notice that the bool enemy has been killed. And then when I go to kill the boss, then the boss trigger says, cool, let's check this trigger condition. Is that trigger condition true or not? In this case, it wasn't. And so it doesn't even go into the logic. So this gives you kind of a two-part switch case, right? So you can have two criteria by using a bool enemy to determine whether something is true or not. And so the trick to all of this is that when Dr. Bosky enters the trigger zone, when he dies, he's technically not in the trigger zone while he's dead. And then when he respawns, even though he's back in the trigger zone, it's just enough to actually trigger the condition, which is what we are, the condition, which is to kill the bool enemy. So, and I'll give you, so like here, here's just it working again. And there you go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Your mileage may vary, but I thought you might appreciate that. Let me go through the cheat sheet here for you, just so you can see everything in the way that I set it up. Let's see here. So, nothing special about this bool enemy. If you do want the bool enemy inside your visual screen, make sure that you check invisible, because you have that feature now. And also, you don't want to have any collision on that thing. You don't want it to, you might want it to do other things, but in general, you probably don't want to have invisible things triggering a bunch of stuff. But anyways, there's the effect. And let's follow this through. Also highly recommend using, when you're in this particular case, using global positioning. So then you can have this in basically multiple places. And you don't have to realign everything by hand, which is nice. The other thing here that's quite useful is also if you set a picture and a sprite sheet, you can set the, the amount of columns and rows, and you can set whether you want it to loop or not or what that looks like. So that's super helpful. And then we use a little transition there on both sides. Nothing crazy. And then the audio, and then finally the reward. The reward is screen based, so because you don't have the ability to set this to world position, so you do need to align that to however you see fit. Now, our items spring out of the item spawner, so I wanted this to kind of feel like they're shooting out and out through the fight cloud. All right, and then your boss is hooked up as you would see fit, and then down here. And that's it. That's easy peasy. All right. If you made it this far, thank you so much for following the channel. Thank you for all the encouragement and enjoying the tutorials we've been doing. It's a privilege and an honor to just give back to the community and to see that even with this engine being codeless, there are quite a bit of features you can actually put into your game that make it uniquely yours. This core base logic could open the door for many other things. This doesn't have to be a no miss bonus for killing bosses. This could be all kinds of things. You could spawn additional any types if you want it this way. You can put a bunch of other conditional ins around it or not. So, and yeah, this is I think should be. We still need to test it a bit more, but I think this feature will go over well with the players, and it'll be cool for our upcoming boss rush kind of challenge event that we've got going on. And other than that, speak to you all soon. Thank you.